In this video, we're going to be going over simple and compound interest. This is going to be the last thing you learn for 8th grade math. So there are two types of formulas for interest, and if you ever forget them, they're going to be at the very bottom of your formula chart. Now, we have two types. So we have simple interest, and if you're finding simple interest, you're going to use the formula I equals P times R to the power of T. And if you're finding compound interest, you're going to use the formula A equals P, parentheses 1 plus R to the power of T. Now, I'll let you know what each of these letters mean in just a second. So we're first going to go ahead and start off by looking at simple interest. So the formula for simple interest is I equals P times R to the power of T. So again, what do each of these letters mean? So I is going to stand for the interest earned on either your loan or your investment. P stands for the principal, and your principal is either the starting amount or the amount of money, or I'm sorry, it's the amount you're taking out on your loan or the amount you are investing. R is going to stand for the rate, and this is this has to be in a percent. Then T stands for time, and your time always has to be in years. If it's in months, you do have to convert it to, if it's in months, you have to convert it into years. So now let's go ahead and look at an example of finding simple interest. So for example 1, it says Jada put $4,000 into an account that pays 3.25% annual simple interest. If she makes no additional deposits or withdrawals, how much interest will Jada earn on this investment at the end of 5 years? So first we want to go ahead and identify some important information. First, we want to identify the principal, which is the starting amount. This is our money. We want to identify the rate. So this again is the percent. We want to identify the time, which again always has to be in years. So we're going to go ahead and highlight this information. So in the problem, it says she took out $4,000. So this is our principal amount. So our principal is $4,000. Okay. Then it says she pays 3.25% annual simple interest. So since she's paying annual simple interest, we know we need to use the formula I equals P times R to the times T. So again, our interest rate is 3.25%. Then it says that Jada, we want to know how much interest will Jada earn on this investment at the end of 5 years. So my time is 5 years. So now with this information, we're just going to plug it into the formula. So my principal is 4,000 times my rate, which is 3.25%, times the amount of time, which is 5 years. So you will just leave it as 5. So now you're going to go over to your calculator, and we're going to go ahead and type this in as it appears. So I start off with 4,000. Open up a calculator window first. So 4,000 times 3.25. And to get the percent symbol, remember, you're going to click on the symbols button, which is right next to the letter G. It'll pop open, and it's going to be at the very end. So percent times 5. So here we see that the amount of interest earned on this investment is going to be $650. So here our answer is going to be A. So that is if you're finding annual simple interest. We're now going to go ahead and compound interest. So the formula for compound interest is A equals P parentheses 1 plus R to the power of T. So what do each of these letters mean again? So A is going to stand for your account balance. So this means this includes your original investment plus the amount of interest earned. So you can put original plus interest, or principal plus interest if you'd like. Again, P is going to stand for the same thing. This is your principal amount. And again, your principal amount is your money. Again, R stands for your rate. And again, this is in the form of a percent. And then T is time, and it is in years. And notice how this is to the power of T. You're not multiplying it by T. You're putting this to the power of T. So you need to make sure that you use your caret top in your calculator. So now let's go ahead and look at an example of compound interest. So, for example 2, it says George deposited $5,000 into an account that pays 3% compound annual interest. If no additional deposits or withdrawals are made, which of the following is the closest to the total amount of interest George's account will earn at the end of 4 years? So, let's go ahead and highlight some important information. So, and identify some important information like our principal, our rate, and our time. So in the problem, it tells me that he deposited $5,000. So this is going to be my principal amount, because remember, your principal is your money. So $5,000 is my principal, and it pays 3% compound annual interest. So since it's paying compound interest, that means I'm going to use the formula A equals P parentheses 1 plus R to the power of T. So my interest rate, again, is in the form of a percent, is 3%. If no additional deposits or withdrawals are made, which of the following is closest to the total amount of interest at the end of 4 years? So my time, again, has to be in years, and this is 4. Now, I want you to notice how in the problem they are specifically only asking for the amount of interest earned. Now, with the compound annual interest formula, you are finding your account balance. So that is your original amount and the amount of interest earned. So what we're going to do, we're going to find the compound annual interest, and then to find the amount of interest earned, we're going to subtract the amount he originally deposited. So let's go ahead and plug in our information into our formula. So our account balance is going to be our principal, which is $5,000, parentheses 1 plus R, so our interest rate is 3%. Close your parentheses to the power of T, which is 4. So now let's go ahead and open up our calculator. So we're going to put 5,000, open up your parentheses, which is right next to 0, 1 plus 3%. And again, to get the percent symbol, it's right next to the letter G. You're going to open up the symbols button and scroll over to the percent symbol. Step out of your parentheses. Now you want to use the caret top because you're trying to put this to the power of 4. So you're going to press the caret top, and if you don't know where the caret top is, it's right below the equal sign or right next to the x squared button. And then type in the number 4, and here you will get a decimal, but you can go ahead and press menu to 1 to convert it. I'm sorry, you will get a fraction, and you want it to be a decimal. So here, when you convert it to a decimal, it will be $5,627.54. So here, this is $5,627.54. Now, again, I only want to know the amount of interest earned, and this is my account balance. So to find the amount of interest earned, like I mentioned before, we are going to subtract the principal amount, which is $5,000. So I'm going to subtract $5,000 from both sides. I'm sorry, from $5,627.54. And when I subtract this, I'm left with $627.54 as the amount of interest earned on his investment. So here the answer is going to be C. Okay, let's go ahead and look at example 3. So now example 3, 3 through 5, we have to determine what type of interest we're finding. So for example 3, 2 customers took out loans from a bank. Henry took out a 4-year loan for $5,000 and paid 4.2% annual simple interest. Ingrid took out a 6-year loan for $5,000 and paid 3.9% annual simple interest. We want to know the difference between the amounts of interest Henry and Ingrid paid for their loans. So this word difference, remember, that means that we are going to subtract the amount of interest. So we're going to find the interest on both Henry and Ingrid's loans, and then we will subtract the amount of interest because we want to find the difference. So for Henry, it says they are doing annual simple interest. So 4 is my time, 5,000 is my principal, and 4.2% is my rate. So again, the annual simple interest formula is I equals P times R to the power, times T. So P is 5,000 times the rate, which is 4.2%, times the amount of time, which is 4. So let's go ahead and plug that in. So 5,000 times 4.2% times 4. Pressing enter, you'll see that the amount of interest Henry's loan, the amount of interest earned on Henry's loan is $840. So then we have Ingrid. So again, here it says Ingrid is also using annual simple interest. So she's using the formula I equals P times R times T. And her loan is going to be for 6 years. So this is my time. 5,000 is my principal because that's my starting amount. And she's going to have a 3.9% interest rate. So my principal is 5,000 times the rate, which is 3.9%, times the time, which is 6. So putting that in your calculator, 5,000 times 3.9% times 6. When you press enter, you will see that the amount of interest earned on her loan was $1,170. So now I want to find the difference in the amounts between these two loans. So to find the difference, all we're going to do is subtract. So in your calculator, we want to take the amount of interest earned on Ingrid's loan and subtract Henry's. So 1,170 minus 840 is going to give you 330. So again, I took Ingrid's loan, subtracted Henry's, and we ended up with $330, which means that the difference here is D. Let's go ahead and look at example 4. So for example 4, it says Mr. Jenkins deposited $1,250 into an account. He made no additional deposits or withdrawals. Mr. Jenkins earned 4.25% annual simple interest on the money in the account. What was the balance in dollars and cents in Mr. Jenkins' account at the end of 4 years? So let's go ahead and identify some key information. I want to know what the principal equals, the rate, and I want to know what the time is. So again, remember, principal is your amount of money, your rate is your interest percent, and your time is the amount in years. So looking here at the problem, let's go ahead and identify some key information. So here my principal is going to be $1,250. That is how much he is depositing into his account. Okay. His account earns 4.25% annual simple interest. So my interest rate is 4.25%. And since his account earns annual simple interest, we're going to use the formula I equals P times R times T. And we want to know what his balance is at the end of 4 years. So my time is 4 years. Now, remember, whenever you are using the simple interest formula, you are only finding the amount of interest earned. So to find the balance in his account, we're going to find the interest, and then we're going to add the original amount he deposited. So for my principal, this is $1,250 times my rate, which is 4.25%, times the amount of time, which in years, which is 4. So opening up your calculator, go ahead and type that in. So 1,250 times 4.25% times 4. Here we see that the amount of interest earned is 212.5. So this is really 212.50. So this is the amount of interest earned. If I want to find his account balance, like I mentioned before, I'm going to take the amount of interest earned and I'm going to add the original amount he deposited. So 1,250 plus 212.50. When you put that in your calculator, or if you want to solve it by hand, you can. 1250 plus 212.5 is going to give us 1,462.50 or 0.5. So this is his account balance, $1,462.50. Let's go ahead and lastly look at example 5. So for example 5, it says an employee put $5,000 in a retirement account that offers 9% interest compounded annually. The employee makes no additional deposits or withdrawals. Which amount is closest to the interest the employee will have earned at the end of 5 years? So let's go ahead and identify some key information. So we want to know our principal, our rate, and our time. So remember, our principal is the amount of money, your rate is the percent, and your time always has to be in years. So like I mentioned before, if they give it to you in months, you have to find it in years, and you would do that by dividing by 12 because that is the amount of months in a year. So going through the problem, let's identify our principal. So that is our money. So our principal is going to be $5,000. So our principal is $5,000. And it offers 9% interest compounded annually. So since it's compounded annually, that is telling me to use the formula A equals P parentheses 1 plus R to the power of T. So again, my interest rate was 9%. And I want to find out the interest he earned at the end of 5 years. So my time is 5 years. So remember that this formula, whenever you're finding compound interest, this finds your account balance. So if I want to find the amount of interest earned, I would use this formula to find my account balance and then subtract my principal amount. So let's go ahead and look at that. So again, our principal is 5,000, parentheses 1 plus our rate, which is 9%. Close your parentheses and put it to the power of t. So the power of t here would be 5. So let's go ahead and plug that into the calculator. So 5,000, open up your parentheses, 1 plus 9%. Step out of your parentheses, and then you need to put it to the power of 5. So again, you're going to need to hit the caret top, which is below the equal sign or right next to x squared, 5. When you press enter, again, you'll get a decimal. Either you can press menu 2-1 or you can press up, highlight the fraction, and then go and put a decimal point in the denominator. Pressing enter, you'll see that the account balance is going to be $7,693.12. Now, to find the amount of interest earned, since this is my account balance, this includes the original deposit and the amount of interest earned. So if I just want to know the interest, I will subtract the original deposit, which is $5,000. When I subtract $5,000, the amount of interest earned is $2,693.12, meaning that J is going to be your answer. So really make sure in that last sentence if you're supposed to be finding the interest or the account balance. And that's simple and compound interest.